So guys, another fight that I think would be a huge pay-per-view fight for Terence Crawford is Keith one-time Thurman. I said it in my previous video that I've just done with Pacquiao and Crawford, the rumors about June the 5th, that I think I wouldn't be shocked if they surprise us with a Keith Thurman Terence Crawford fight. The reason why, because when Bob Arum said that it's a big pay-per-view fight, Sean Porter's a good name and a good fight and a big fighter, but I just don't think it's a big pay-per-view fight. Does Sean Porter really have that kind of pulling power? I think Keith Thurman's a bigger name than Sean Porter. And a lot of people may say that Keith Thurman doesn't deserve a fight with Terence Crawford right now. He doesn't even deserve a title shot because he lost against Pacquiao. He's been inactive. Porter's been fighting. But to be honest with you, I think Porter's got a loss against Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman beat Danny Garcia. Keith Thurman is a very good fighter. And I think among the fans, I think if Terence Crawford can beat Keith Thurman, right, I think Crawford will get a lot more credit and a lot more respect for beating someone like a Keith Thurman, because Keith Thurman's a lot more versatile than Sean Porter. For me, like I said, I feel he's the better fighter. I feel he's a guy that's a lot more versatile than Sean Porter and could give Terence Crawford hell. And he's also a bigger puncher. And for me, he's a guy that he doesn't use his physicality as much, but he's very as Sean Porter, but he's very explosive, Thurman, and that style could be a problem for Terence Crawford. Now, a lot of people think Terence Crawford beats Keith Thurman quite comfortably. I disagree. I know Crawford's a very good fighter and he's very skilled. He's very versatile. He's got a lot in his toolbox, so to say. But Keith Thurman's dangerous, man. I've seen Keith Thurman like hit Danny Garcia with a huge right hand. Like, I'm still not convinced about Terence Crawford's punch resistance at 147. And Keith Thurman's a big, strong welterweight that's very explosive, right? He's very explosive and he's got a lot of power behind those shots. He's not just explosive, but he's powerful and he's a big welterweight. You see, Brooks, a big welterweight that Crawford fought last, but Brooks not explosive like Thurman. When I mean explosive, I mean like Wilder, Povetkin. Thurman has that. Thurman has that explosive power. He might not be as big of, like, pound for pound, as big a puncher as some of those guys that have explosive power. But Keith Thurman has that explosiveness. Canelo also has that explosive power. Canelo's not a knockout merchant either. Like, he's not, but he can really stun you. And the thing is, because of the fact that Crawford has shown, punch resistant, his punch resistance has been questioned in the past, and he has been hurt. Kavaliauskas hurt him, Gamboa hurt him, and these are little small chinks. I'm taking small chinks out of an excellent fighter. But Keith Thurman has more power than those guys. He's a lot more explosive. If he catches Terence Crawford, it's going to be interesting. Because for me, Keith Thurman's a very good boxer as well. Now, he's got very good movement. He punches hard. He's physically a strong welterweight. So, and Keith Thurman's always been big on that you haven't fought a true welterweight. I remember when Keith Thurman back in the day wanted to fight Amir Khan, he kept saying that Amir Khan hasn't proved himself against a true welterweight. He hasn't beat a true welterweight, right? Keith Thurman's really big on that. Now, Terence Crawford beat a true welterweight, and what I mean, he beat Kell Brook, who's a true welterweight, who's a guy that's a big welterweight. But Kell Brook was finished. Now, Keith Thurman's not as past his best as Amir Khan, even though Amir Khan's not a true welterweight. What I mean by that, he's not a natural welterweight. Kell Brook was a natural welterweight, but Kell Brook was past his best, so was Khan. Keith Thurman is a true welterweight that's still got something left in the tank, that's got explosive power, that's a very good boxer, right? He's a very good mover. So for me, this would be an intriguing matchup and a matchup that fans would tune in for. This would be a huge pay-per-view fight. There's no doubt about it. Keith Thurman v. Terence Crawford will be a huge pay-per-view fight. By the way, the Keith Thurman-Manny Pacquiao fight was close. Although Thurman lost, right, and there's no doubt about it, he did lose. It was very close. Thurman put up a very hard fight, and it was nip and tuck in that fight at stages. So Keith Thurman showed that he's a credible opponent for anybody. And Keith Thurman is, in my opinion, more than capable of even beating a Crawford. Because like I said, Crawford, for me, hasn't fought, as Keith Thurman would say, a true welterweight that was in their prime. That's a top welterweight. Like, you could say Khan and Brook in their primes were top welterweights and they would have been a great names for Crawford to have, but they were way past it. Neither guy was even top 10, in my opinion, in the welterweight division when he fought them. They were way past it. Brook hadn't fought at welterweight for 3 years. Amir Khan was so inactive, and his 2 fights before that was against Le Greco and Vargas. He didn't look good against Vargas. So those are the 2 guys that were probably top welterweights in their prime. But Keith Thurman, for me, in his last performance, impressed. Even though he lost, he impressed. I know the reason why a lot of people gave him stick, because he was favoured to beat Pacquiao in the age Pacquiao's at. You know, you expect someone like Keith Thurman to beat him. But I still think Keith Thurman impressed in that fight. Keith Thurman didn't look terrible in that fight. Keith Thurman gave Manny Pacquiao a lot of trouble. It's just the fact that most people were expecting him to beat Manny Pacquiao. The hardcore fans thought that he'd beat Pacquiao because of where Pacquiao is at in the stage of his career. It looks like Pacquiao was definitely on the slide, and Thurman may just be too fresh and too good. But, you know, Manny Pacquiao, again, he defied you know, his age and beat Keith Thurman. And it was a great performance by Pacquiao. But Pacquiao's looked good that night. You know, Pacquiao looked brilliant. So, to be honest with you, I think Keith Thurman would be a dangerous fight for Terence Crawford. Because Keith Thurman now is what I would call who is now in the who needs me club. Who really wants to fight Keith Thurman? Now, Spence don't want to fight him. Spence is saying, oh, Keith Thurman, I don't really want to fight him. That's because Keith Thurman's in who the needs me club. I think Spence will beat Keith Thurman. I think Crawford will be favoured to beat Keith Thurman. But they look at Keith Thurman and think, this guy is dangerous. If this guy turns up, he's dangerous. And this guy's got nothing for me to get. I've got nothing to gain for fighting him now. Yeah, it'll be a big fight, but there's other fights out there that are bigger. See, Errol Spence is looking at this Crawford out there. That's way bigger now, fight. Why should I risk everything against a guy that's dangerous, like a Keith Thurman? Because trust me, Keith Thurman will be dangerous for Errol Spence and Crawford. He'll be an underdog against both guys, but he's dangerous. But Crawford right now, the reason why I always said that I think Keith Thurman v Crawford should happen is because I think Crawford would get, if he beats Keith Thurman, right, the fans would give him a lot of respect, and he would be beating, in my opinion, the best name. He would have the best name out of Spence and Crawford on his resume at the welterweight division. Because for me, Keith Thurman is better than anything that Spence has beat so far at welterweight. So Crawford would arguably have the best name on his resume at welterweight. He would have the best win out of the 2. And I always said that Keith Thurman is in a position right now where can he go? He just lost to Manny Pacquiao. Nobody really wants to fight him. Nobody really wants to fight Terence Crawford. So both of them are in the who needs me club. Obviously, Crawford is a world champion, so eventually people are hoping that him and Spence can get it on. But still, you know, it seems like there's resentment from the PBC side to fight him. So Keith Thurman, right, is in that who needs me club as well, because nobody really wants to fight Keith Thurman. Sean Paulson's probably looking at it, why do I need to fight Keith Thurman? It's dangerous. If I lose to him, I'm going down in the pecking orders. And same with Danny Garcia. That's why Danny Garcia is probably looking to move up. Danny Garcia, however, did say he would fight Keith Thurman. And I think Danny Garcia is also at the stage. But would Keith Thurman really want to fight with Danny Garcia now? I don't think so. Because Keith Thurman may look at Danny Garcia, why would I need him? I beat him and it could be a dangerous fight. Keith Thurman needs a fight where he'll be motivated for, and I'm not to say he won't be motivated for someone like Danny Garcia, because he would. But I think the Crawford fight would get Keith Thurman motivated. And it would be for a world title, and it would be an opportunity for Keith Thurman to get right back to the top. And let's not forget, he'd be fighting a pound for pound best fighter right now. You know, Crawford is top 2, top 3 pound for pound. So Keith Thurman would have a great opportunity, not just to beat Crawford and become a world champion again at welterweight, but to beat a pound for pound number 2 or 3, in my opinion. So to be honest with you, I think it's a no-brainer for Keith. If that fight gets offered to him, he should be reasonable, right, in terms of what he asked for, and he should be looking to break the door down to make that fight. Because I'm telling you, that could resurrect Keith Thurman's career. Keith Thurman's career right now is on the slide. A win over against Crawford would get Keith Thurman right back to the top. And Keith Thurman is capable. Like I said, he has the style to trouble Terence Crawford. Do I think he wins? I wouldn't favor him, no. I would pick Crawford to win. But I do think that Keith Thurman's physicality, his explosiveness, his punch power, his boxing ability could definitely cause Terence Bud Crawford problems. I'm telling you, this would be an intriguing matchup and a matchup that I would be very excited about. And I think a lot of fans would also be excited about it because they would feel that Keith Thurman could beat Terence Crawford. I don't think anybody thought Amir Khan would beat... I know there's maybe a few Amir Khan fans that thought that Khan could probably beat Crawford, and Kell Brook as well. I don't think anybody thought Kell Brook could beat Crawford, maybe a few of his fans. But Keith Thurman, genuinely, people would, in my opinion, some people in boxing will feel that Keith Thurman can pull off this upset. It's by no means a 50-50 fight. But for me, it's a 65-35, 60-40 fight. Because Keith Thurman he's dangerous. Like I said, I've seen Keith Thurman fights. Keith Thurman is very explosive. He punches very hard. I saw that Danny Garcia fight. It might not be the same Keith Thurman, but against Manny Pacquiao, I saw glimpses of the version that I saw against Danny Garcia. And like I said, it only takes a moment of brilliance, a beautiful right hand, a good left hook from Keith Thurman, because like I said, Keith Thurman is explosive. And he showed that against Danny Garcia. Now, Danny Garcia is a lot more flat-footed and nowhere near as quick. And he doesn't process as quick as someone like Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford's defensively a lot more sound, but Bud Crawford also gets hit. He also gets hit. You look at all his fights, he gets hit. This is by no means a defensive genius like a Mayweather or Panel. This guy gets hit. And when you're fighting a big, strong welterweight that's explosive, that's got punch power like Keith Thurman, it could be a problem. So that's why this fight is really intriguing for me. And I would love to see Terence Crawford fight Keith one-time Thurman. I would love to see that fight. It would be a massive pay-per-view. And it would be a pay-per-view fight that I think the fans would get excited about. I want to see it. What do you guys think? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I want to know your guys' opinion on this fight. Leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.